What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. So guys, YCS Toronto is over, but the celebration has just begun. I think that this was one of the coolest events that we've seen in a very long time, and I think that this proves that this format is going to have a good amount of parodies, and I think that's something that a lot of people like. The most impressive thing, and I don't even think it's close, I think we could all come to the agreement, is Jeff Jones' second place finish with a psychic earth deck that revolves around this behemoth of a card that is Grandsoil, the Elemental Lord. Now, I must preface this video by saying my intelligence and my knowledge of psychic monsters isn't the highest, so your tolerance in this video is gonna have to be up there too. But Jeff Jones is not only an amazing duelist, but I think just about everybody would agree that he's a deck building wizard. Like, he's a machine when it comes to deck building. He's fantastic. One of the best deck builders in the country. And if you look at his track record, it shows. Like, look at some of the decks that he won. I mean, especially that Skill Drain Dad deck. I mean, his Big City that topped the Shonen Jump in Philadelphia. You know, so I think this also goes to prove once and for all, you should fear the devil that you don't know a lot more than the devil that you know. I mean, if I play against windups right now, I pretty much have a good idea of your win conditions and what your plays are going to be. If I play against this deck, I have no idea what you're doing. I mean, I know you're summoning Esper Girl, and I'm like, what does she do? And I'm having to read everything, and it's like the psychic player is just licking their chops, because it's like, oh my goodness, easy wins. And it's easy wins against a good player. Okay, so outside of Dp-Ygo Dad, most people might not know all these cards, but I'm going to go over them anyway, and then you guys can, you know, make of it what you will. Starting the deck off, we've got 3 copies of Grandsoil, the Elemental Lord, a freaking 2800 beater with a built-in Monster Reborn. Card is a behemoth. 3 copies of Serene Psychic Witch, 2 copies of Tragodia, 2 copies of the Silent Wizard, 2 copies of Giant Rat, 2 copies of Psychic Commander, 2 copies of Card Trooper, 2 copies of Psychic Jumper. Cool card. You can teleport it out, and then it's got like a built-in creature swap if you have another monster on board. 2 copies of Effect Veiler, 2 copies of Max C, the obligatory Gourds because he only wants 1 trap, 1 copy of Esper Girl, 1 copy of Neo-Spatian Grand Mole, 3 copies of Emergency Teleport. I think it's been said, and I think maybe this might prove it, that E-Teleport at 3 belongs really in Psychic decks, not Destiny Heroes or Plants or any of those other decks. Like, leave it where it needs to be. 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon, 2 copies of Pot of Duality, 2 copies of Miracle Synchro Fusion, 1 copy of Pot of Avarice, 1 copy of Mind Control, 1 copy of Darkhold, 1 copy of 1 copy of Heavy Storm, 1 creature swap, 1 Monster Reborn, and the Lone Trap Psychic Overload, which is kind of like a mini chainable Pot of Avarice. I mean, he's playing 2 Card Troopers. You know, he's playing 3 copies of E-Teleport. He can probably run through his Psychic cards pretty quickly. And also, he's not running any back row, so, you know, he has the whole Chaos Dragon thing where your opponent is playing 3 MSTs, and those are probably going to be dead cards, so that makes sense that he would run double Tragodia, and he would also run Gores. Neo-Spatian Grand Mole is a very, very good card this format. People are still walling up. Despite the fact that, you know, Zenmaines has gotten a little weaker, people are still walling with Zenmaines. People are still, you know, putting out Synchros and Xyzs that don't really have any way of stopping Grand Mole. So, I mean, your opponent has like a Shockmaster on board. They attack a Giant Rat. Uh-oh, maybe I can bounce it with a Grand Mole. I mean, getting through your protection might be a problem, but especially when you combine Giant Rat, I really do like Grand Mole in this deck. Let's talk about the big guy. Grandsoil, the Elemental Lord. This is like a win condition. Basically, you need to just fill your graveyard up really quick. This can be done probably through synchroing up or through Card Trooper. I mean, Card Trooper is going to mill cards, and then in addition, when it dies, you're going to draw one. So it's going to flood your graveyard with Earth. Almost everything in this deck is Earth, except for the Tragos, except for the, you know, the Veilers and Gores, a couple of cards. I mean, when you drop this guy, I mean, you drop it and then you reborn a Gores, or you drop it and then you reborn, you know, your opponent's BLS, and it's just like, once you drop this card, you're probably going to win. You drop this and then add like a Miracle Synchro Fusion. You're looking at an OTK no matter where your opponent is. What's it called? Ultimate Axon Kicker is actually a really good card in this format. I mean, outside of D Prison, there's not a lot of ways to really get rid of this card. I mean, you have to basically have like chaos cards, you know, BLS and stuff like that. Your obligatory Baronic is gone, so you know it's one less card for your opponent to have an out. And I must say, I really do like Psychic Jumper and Creature Swap in this deck, because he said when he plays against decks like Heroes or Dino Rabbit, decks that don't have a tendency to put a whole bunch of monsters on the board, like it just works out perfect. I mean, you can give your opponent a what is it, like a Serene Witch. You can Creature Swap it to them, run it over, take their you know, the Shining or something like that. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how many players try and build this deck afterwards. I think that it's amazing. I really like when a deck becomes when a deck finally becomes viable after it's pretty much been mediocre for, you know, forever. Psychics have been around, not all the support, but basically Psychics have been around since the Duelist Genesis, since we've had Synchro cards, and they really haven't amounted to much. But it's good to see that the deck is finally, you know, starting to kick a little ass. And unfortunately, Grandsoil has already jumped in price. That's another topic for another day. But if you guys have those, you might want to hold on to them. Hold on to them if you expect to be playing this deck, because it's about $60 card right now, guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck. Let me know what you think about this. I'm pretty sure Dub-K Dad is doing his old man dance, talking about them psychics. Talk to you guys later.